Hello, everybody, and welcome to wrap up the first month of the NFL season, and thus week 4. We have another full slate of 16 games to go over. But before we do, I want to quickly say if you are new, subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated. Leave a like and comment down below your thoughts on what upsets you have. Now, let's get right into it. Thursday night football, the Seattle Seahawks travel to the Arizona Cardinals. The Seahawks are a 1.5 favorites in this one, and this is Arizona's rivalries game. We get to see their new uniforms in this one, and I'm pretty excited. I'm a fan of the majority of the rivalry uniforms that we have out there in Arizona. This one I am a big fan of. But with that, Arizona is sitting at 2-1 at this point in the season, but their two wins that they've had aren't really impressive wins to say the least. It was close wins against Carolina and New Orleans, two teams that are bad this season. Seattle also at 2-1, but their two wins are a little bit more impressive. Yes, one of them is against New Orleans, but it was a blowout win against New Orleans as Sam Darnold threw the ball really well in. The other was a blowout win against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I will say that their wins are more impressive, and all around I've been more impressive with the Seahawks this season, so I do have Seattle winning this game. I do think it'll be close. I do think this will come down to the wire and will be a great game. But at the end of the day, I have a little bit more faith in what we've seen out of Seattle at this point in the season than I do Arizona, especially offensively. Arizona's offense has not looked good this season. Meanwhile, Seattle's has definitely surprised me, so I'm picking the Seahawks. The second international game of the season and the first one ever in Dublin, the Minnesota Vikings are traveling there with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Vikings are 2.5 point favorites in this game. So although not against the Steelers, the Vikings did play an international game against Aaron Rodgers last year, a game that they won partially thanks to the defense. Minnesota last week played incredibly well defensively, and Carson Wentz looked great offensively, and that was a massive sign for how this Vikings team can play this year. The Steelers, through 3 weeks, have kind of left me in a weird spot. One, I did not expect them to be a great team this season, but two, I expected them to be better than what they have shown. But they still find themselves at 2-1. Minnesota also 2-1 on the season. Carson Wentz getting the start again this week and also going to be getting the start next week. I do have the Vikings winning this game. The Steelers' offense has been very lackluster considering the weapons they do have on offense. And part of it is just Aaron Rodgers did not have a full offseason with this team. He's still kind of building that chemistry. But at the same time, I think they're going to be fine towards the end of the season. But Minnesota and what they showed when they have a complete offense is a very tough team to beat and a very similar team to what we saw last year. So I am picking the Vikings to win. The 1 o'clock slate begins with the Washington Commanders traveling to the Atlanta Falcons. The Commanders are a 1.5 favorites in this one. And Atlanta had a very bad showing last week against Carolina. They got shut out and they did not look good at all. Michael Penix struggled massively. That defense struggled a bit, but I don't think that is a clear sign for what this Falcons team can be. I just think that's the nature that they're going to be for at least this next little while. Meanwhile, Washington, even with Marcus Mariota, had a very dominant win against Las Vegas. As of the time of recording this, we don't know the status on Jaden Daniels, but to me, I don't really view that as a matter in all too much. I do have the Washington Commanders winning this game. Another factor into all of it, this is a bit of a revenge game for Marcus Mariota. I think he's going to be able to come in there and play just fine. The offense that Washington team has is going to be just fine. Defense, a little bit of concern, but the defensive weak points for Washington this season has been primarily against the pass. And I don't think you have to worry all too much about this Falcons passing game, at least again for the time being this early on into the season. So I think Washington will be just fine to have the Commanders winning this game. Traveling north, the New Orleans Saints go to the Buffalo Bills. This is a 16.5 point spread in favor of Buffalo. New Orleans got killed by Seattle last week. I mean, Seattle had 38 points by the half. Buffalo had a good divisional win against Miami that was at home as well. So the thing is, there's not really much to say about this game. Buffalo, I have to win. Buffalo's gonna win this game. I think the question is just by how much. And this spread being at 16.5 and what New Orleans showed last week is making everybody think it's going to be this massive blowout of a game and it very easy. We could be seeing the Buffalo put up 70, but I doubt it. I think this game will be surprisingly close, all things considered. But at the end of the day, there's really no contest in this one. I think I have the Buffalo Bills to win. The Cleveland Browns are traveling to the Detroit Lions. The Lions find themselves at 8.5 point favorites in this one. And very similar to the last game we just talked about, there's not really much to say about this one. Yes, the Browns just had that very miraculous win against the Packers, but this is a Lions team that is not the Packers offensively or defensively. And there's an argument to be made that after these past 2 weeks, the Lions offense has found their footing again, and their defense is in a very good spot as well. I do have the Lions winning this game. Another game, again, not much to really be said about. The Lions are not a team that will lose when they have a 10-point lead and under 4 minutes to play. I still don't know how the Packers ended up losing that game, but they did. But the Lions, they're not going to make those same mistakes. Their offense is going to be able to move the ball, especially with this game being in Detroit. There's not really a doubt in my mind that the Lions can come away with this one, so I'm picking the Lions to win. The Carolina Panthers are traveling to the New England Patriots this week. The Patriots are 5.5 point favorites in this game. And this is a very interesting game to me. I'm shocked the line is this big at 5.5. The Patriots played fine last week, but they had 5 turnovers and it was a tough loss against the Steelers. Carolina coming off of that really impressive 30-0 win over Atlanta. And both teams are still trying to find a footing on the season. They've had a few good showings, a few good outings. Need another win before they can truly hit that next step, it feels. Going with the upset, I am picking the Carolina Panthers in this one. I think what we saw from their offense and how much it reminded me of that back half of last season, it gives me confidence in them as a team to be able to get this win. The other thing, New England so far this season, they have not been a very disciplined team. They have nearly double the amount of penalties from what they had by this point last year, and they find themselves still at 1-2, the same record they were through 3 weeks last year. So New England is a very, very weird up in the air team. I have a little bit more stability with Carolina, though not that much, but enough for me to pick them to win this game. The Los Angeles Chargers at 6.5 point favorites are heading to the Big Apple to play the New York Giants. And for as much as I wanted to be here and talking about the Chargers and how much I'm expecting them to play really well in this game, the main storyline is Jackson Dart is getting the start for the New York Giants, and it might be pretty tart. I'm sorry, kind of had to find a way to make things rhyme there. Nonetheless, this Chargers defense put Mahomes into quite a pickle, put this Broncos offense into quite a pickle. It is a Chargers defense that has played really well this season to complement a Chargers offense that has also been able to move the ball relatively effectively. From what we've seen from the Giants through 3 weeks, there is some signs there that with the right quarterback, they can be a really tough team to beat. But their defense still doesn't feel like it's all there just yet. Jackson Dart, this is his first start in the league. It's going to be tough. I do have the Chargers winning this game. But at the same time, 6.5, it might be closer. It might be obviously more. I really don't know. This game can go either one of two ways. Nonetheless, though, I feel like the Chargers will come out on top. The Philadelphia Eagles at 3.5 point favorites are traveling to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this matchup has quite a bit of history. Not too long ago in the playoffs, Tampa knocked out Philly after they were an 11-win team. And this is a Tampa team that has been playing a ton of close matchups this season. 3 straight wins coming in the final minute. It's going to be another one similar to that, I feel. This is going to be a very close game between these two teams. But Philly, they have also won multiple close games at this point this season. So, which side am I leaning towards? Tampa, I have faith in Baker Mayfield. I like how he's been playing. I like how that defense has been going. And I really like how, as a team, they've been able to rally behind everyone and play as a full collective unit. Philly has impressed me by how many different ways they have won to this point in the season. They've had quite a few high-powered offensive games. That Kansas City game was very defensive focused, and all around they're a team that seems poised to make a run. With that being said, I am picking the Buccaneers to win this game. I just have a little bit more faith in Tampa to win a close game because they have won 3 straight of those, winning in the final minute. Again, Philly has won close games, but those weren't nail biters to the very end and showing resilience that way. Those were, hey, we have the lead we have the lead in the third quarter. We're gonna step up and just play lockdown defense, and it's still impressive. But this is a Tampa offense that's gonna find ways to move the ball downfield one way or another. I don't think they would blow a lead the same way the Rams just did. So I have the Buccaneers winning. The Tennessee Titans are on the road traveling to the Houston Texans this week. The Texans are 7.5 point favorites. To me, that spread is a lot. This is the Texans offense that has really struggled this season moving the ball pretty effectively, and especially because of that offensive line. This is the final week that they could be without Joe Mixon, and I do think once he gets back into the fray, it is going to help massively with that offense. But this is a Tennessee team that they played Denver pretty close. They got blown out by both the Rams and the Colts, but the Rams and Colts are pretty good teams, and they still moved the ball pretty well against both of them, respectively. This Houston defense is going to be what this game comes down to, which is a defense that I am pretty high on, all things considered, for them being 0-3. I do have the Texans winning this game, but I do think this will be much, much closer than what a lot of people are giving this credit for. Tennessee is a team that could surprise people and win a few games here and there that it probably shouldn't, and I view this as one of those potential games. 7.5 points is a massive spread for a game we're featuring two teams that are 0-3. But all that being said, at the end of the day, even if this is a much closer game, I have the Texans winning and pulling this one out, getting their first win on the season. The Indianapolis Colts go cross country to play the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are 3.5 point favorites in this game. And this is an interesting one. The Colts are a team this year that, yeah, they're 3-0. I don't really feel like they've played anyone. Yes, they did beat the Broncos, but the Broncos are, as a team this year, are in a pretty weird spot compared to what we expected them to be at by this point. Meanwhile, the Rams, they're at 2-1 and nearly knocked off the Eagles last week on the road. So this is going to be a good test for both sides, but I feel like more so a test for the Colts. Again, Daniel Jones has been surpassing every expectation so far this year. That defense is playing well. Jonathan Taylor is running well, and that offense as a whole is playing well. But I do still have the Rams winning this game. I just view them as a more complete roster, and especially that front seven and that defense. I've been singing their praises the entire season and even into the offseason. And I do feel like they're going to make an impact in this one. But this game could definitely be close. I just think it being in LA, first time the Colts are playing on the West Coast this season, that's going to play into a factor. This Rams team being a team that has Super Bowl aspirations this year is going to be a massive factor, so I do have the Rams winning this game. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going cross country to play the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are 3.5 point favorites in this game, and we'll start there with San Francisco. A team that has surprised me a little bit so far this year, but at the same time have left me with some questions, in part due to the injuries. They keep piling up. Brock Purdy is expected, I think, to play in this one, though it's still up in the air at the time of recording this. I'm going to go in expecting that he is not playing in this game, but I don't think my opinion really changes if he does because of the injuries that are surrounding the rest of the team, especially Nick Bosa being out for the season. That's a massive loss for that 49ers defense. Jacksonville, they've played well this year. They're 2-1. They've had a few good wins, but they're still a team that needs to show a bit more. They are also the healthier team. I do have Jacksonville winning this game. I think this will be their big statement win on the year. That's going to start making people take them a little bit more seriously. I say that even though part of the reason why I'm picking them is the injuries going on with San Francisco. I'm just very uncertain about the Niners offense this year. And now the defense with those questions, with Nick Bosa being out, I'm have to lean a team that I at least have more answers than questions for, even though I do still have quite a few questions surrounding Jacksonville. I do expect some of those to get answered. I have the Jaguars winning. The Baltimore Ravens at 2.5 point favorites are traveling to Kansas City this week. And even though both of these teams are 1-2, I do still have this as my game of the week because it is still Lamar and Mahomes going at it. Baltimore's defense has been pretty rough this year. Outside of the game against Cleveland, they're giving up 38 plus points, which is, I think the actual average in those two games is like 39.5. It's not good. Kansas City, their offense has been struggling this year. Even with last week's win against the Giants, the offense still looked really, really rough and still looked off-centered at times. Baltimore's offense, you know what you're going to get. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry is the main two tandem. Dave Flowers is there as an option as well, though Rashad Bateman got more of the love last week, so did Mark Andrews. But you know what Baltimore's offense, they're going to be able to move the ball down the field. They're going to be able to put up points. The question is, can the Chiefs match it? My answer is no. I have the Ravens winning this game. And this is a very tough one because the Chiefs potentially falling to 1-3 on the season has a massive wrinkle effect across the entire NFL. Hell, so does the Ravens falling to 1-3. But the wrinkle effect would be much greater if the Chiefs do, which is going to be a weird case. This game is going to be a very weird game. I expect the Ravens to win. I have them winning, but we might see a Chiefs team that is basically playing for their season at this point. So they might put in their best effort and make this a lot closer than I think it's going to be. Nonetheless, I have the Ravens winning. The Chicago Bears are traveling to the Las Vegas Raiders, and the line I'm using for all of these predictions is FanDuel, and the Raiders are 1.5 favorites over there. So there is some bulletin board material for Ben Johnson. Raiders coming off of a tough loss. Geno Smith threw the ball well. The ground game was a bit iffy, but all around, this is the Raiders team that has not really fully reached their potential this season, I feel. And I'm not sure if they're going to this week. Chicago coming off of that fantastic win against the Cowboys last week, and that is what people were expecting from the Ben Johnson-led Bears offense since week 1. And I said Ben Johnson-led because it is his scheme. As much as I like what Caleb Williams can do as a quarterback, this scheme of Ben Johnson is going to be helping for at least these first few weeks until Caleb Williams finds a better rhythm and gets comfortable in it all. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who is really to give the credit for. The entire offense is playing well. It played well last week, and I expect to play well again this week. I have the Chicago Bears winning. More of this is going to come down to the defense of Chicago than I do feel it will the offense, because this Raiders team they're going against is a very middling team. They've had weeks where they've played good defensively and tough offensively, ones where they've played good offensively but tough defensively. Not really sure what to expect out of Vegas this week, but at least from Chicago, I know that they're going to put up a pretty solid defensive performance and an offensive performance that should be enough to win, so I'm going with Chicago. Sunday Night Football is the game we have been waiting for since a week before the season started. The Green Bay Packers at 6.5-point favorites head into Jerry's World to play the Dallas Cowboys. The main highlight of this one and the main story is going to be Micah Parsons' return to Dallas. All eyes are on that. How well is he going to play? What's his impact going to be? And frankly, I don't think it matters how well he plays in this game, because I am more so looking at that Dallas defense. It is a defense that has not been playing well this season outside of the after weather delay portions of that game against Philly. But it's a defense that has given up quite a lot of points the past 2 weeks. And for as bad as the Packers offense played against Chicago, they're not going to play that bad twice. I am picking the Packers to win this game. I think it will be a primarily offensive showing. We'll see from the Packers in this one. As well, Micah Parsons is there. He'll probably have an impact like he always does. But at the end of the day, this is the Packers offense that wants to prove to themselves and that wants to bounce back after a really tough showing against Cleveland. Just so happens the matchup is against a Dallas defense that is not a very good defense this year so far through 3 weeks. So I am picking the Packers to win. The first of the Monday Night Football matchups, the New York Jets going to the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are 2.5-point favorites in this game. This is Miami's rivalries game. They're going to be wearing their rivalry uniforms, which, again, I am a pretty big fan of. I like the way they look. But this game is going to be interesting. Both teams 0-3. One team needs to win this game. It's going to be ugly. And it's just the nature of things. Jets-Dolphins is always a game that has its ugliness to it, even though at times it has been a good matchup between these teams. Last year, the Jets won the one in New York. Miami won the one in Miami. So we'll see how this one goes. As of the time of recording, I'm not sure if Justin Fields will be playing in this game, and I do think that would matter. I'm going to assume he's not. But at the end of the day, I'm a Dolphin fan. I was going to pick Miami to win either way. but I do think it would be closer if Justin Fields plays because his mobility is something Miami historically cannot guard against. But still, Miami as a team that is on paper more talented than being an 0-3 roster, it just has not been translated onto the field at all. I'm waiting for it to translate. They showed flashes of it against Buffalo and that really close loss, and I think we'll fully see it in effect in this one. So I'm picking the Miami Dolphins. To wrap things up, the Cincinnati Bengals are traveling to the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are 7-point favorites in this game. And speaking of teams that are more talented on paper than what their record shows, Denver does not feel like a 1-2 team this season. It feels like they should be have a better record, but they've had two really tough losses back-to-back weeks. So I think they're going to look to bounce back, obviously. Cincy had a blowout loss to Minnesota last week that really showcased how bad this defense is this year. And that's going to be the main focal point is can this Denver offense finally hit their stride and have a fantastic game against a Cincy defense that is not the greatest this year. They've had a few good weeks, but that game against Minnesota really showed a lot of the cracks in that defense. I do think the Denver offense will be able to show some life. I have the Broncos winning this game, but a 7-point line feels like a lot for me, especially with Denver being the team that is 1-2, and Cincy being 2-1. Though with Jake Brown in behind center, I could also understand that as well. But the main thing he needs to do is just target whoever's not being guarded by Patrick Surtain. And I think there's gonna be some life there. Though this Broncos front seven is a really good front seven. So who really knows? Nonetheless, I think the Broncos will win this game. And there you have it. My thoughts for week 4 of the NFL season. We're about to be a full month into this season, and already chaos has been in full force. We'll see how much more chaos is in week 4. But I'll see you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.